Paris. Nazi country.
That's where Papa is, so that's where we're going.
Wolfenstein Youngblood is a standalone spin-off with little to say outside of casually reminding you that the Third Reich was bad, actually, as it hands you an assault rifle and pushes you out onto the streets of Paris, occupied by entrenched Nazi rule. That isn't to say that the development teams shouldn't be commended for at least trying to expand the scope of Wolfenstein. If ever there is an opportunity to try and infuse an established franchise with new blood, a budget-priced standalone is surely the place to do it. The problem here being that the somewhat inflexible mechanics and systems that have come to define the modern Wolfenstein games feel like they are at odds with the infusion of new ideas, not to mention the need to make a little content last a long time.
I may have an assignment suitable for two Nazi killers such as yourselves.
It all comes together to make Youngblood feel like a flawed experiment, more than an outright disaster. That may sound like damning praise, but there's enjoyment to be had with Youngblood, so long as you can have a friend along for the ride. Spending 15 hours aggressively gorging card-carrying members of the Third Reich with an array of increasingly audacious weaponry is a good time. Because how could it not be, right? But to say that Youngblood makes up for its misgivings because of this online-only cooperative support would belie the point. Play with a stranger or switch it up to solo play, where an infrequently incompetent AI will take control of one of the Blazkowicz siblings, and you'll begin to crave company and conversation to help distract you from the mundanity born out of the repetitive mission design and open-ended approach to progression. The game is the result of a collaboration between Arcane Studios' Leon and Machine Games, and Youngblood is a fantastic feeling shooter, the sort of game you'd expect to see come out of two masters of the first-person domain. The problems can be directed at Youngblood's structure. Tasked with liberating Paris from Nazi occupation, you are given the freedom to touch down in any of the 3 districts from the outset, with a 4th opening up in the late game, to begin chipping away at the defences of brother security towers, or to complete a variety of odd jobs for the French resistance that is hunkered down in the catacombs beneath the capital. But of all of these missions, between those on the critical path, the multi-staged objectives contained in each of the Brothers' towers, the side missions and daily quests to be completed in different districts, there isn't a single standout. Thankfully, these districts are at least thoughtfully designed, despite being largely devoid of any points of interest. The environments are breathtaking to behold, full of secret routes and plenty of verticality to give you an opportunity to take a varied approach to the objective at hand. In the early hours, the scale and visual depth of these environments imply that Youngblood threatens, at least to a small degree, to offer the flexibility and non-linearity that the Dishonored games are so famous for delivering, although that isn't necessarily the case. And so to stealth. In previous Wolfenstein games, this was always positioned as an optional endeavour, designed to let you thin the ranks a little before engaging in conflict across confined spaces. In Youngblood, stealth is difficult to maintain for more than a few takedowns. Enemies are tasked with covering a lot of ground due to the openness of the spaces, and it doesn't take long for a corpse to be discovered and the alarm to be raised. In fact, the enemies are pretty damn perceptive outside of combat, but once engaged in it themselves, they can swing wildly from deadly to dullards. Deadly in that now enemies come with their very own health bar and assigned level, meaning that they're prone to standing still and soaking up bullets. Dullards in that they are likely to become entranced by something off in the distance, as much as they are the 2 Terror Billy twins, literally eviscerating everything standing with an honest-to-God laser cannon. The addition of light RPG systems to help level gate progression through the core missions, not to mention keeping you at scale as you sink resources earned into new abilities and weapon upgrades, stifles the pace of Wolfenstein severely. I don't know about you, but if I get cut down by a Nazi, I want it to be because I timed the reload of my shotgun poorly, and not because the Gestapo officer had a level 20 floating above his head. With a friend, Youngblood is a fun but unfocused adventure. The gunplay, movement and spatial navigation is a true delight, which makes Wolfenstein a game that is largely enjoyable in the moment, but not necessarily worth any real reflection. Played alone, cracks quickly begin to appear in Youngblood's structure, with the game losing its sense of momentum in the process. Youngblood doesn't offer the same variety in its missions or level design as Wolfenstein The New Order, and it certainly doesn't match the ridiculous chaos born out of Wolfenstein 2 The New Colossus' story. And what you're left with is a standalone spin-off that plays nice with others, but can quickly become an exercise in frustration. We give it 3 stars.